Marianne started her first diet in 8th grade. She tried every single diet approach out there that she knew of while carrying this deep and emotional block that kept her body stuck in these protective mode. Here's how clearing out those blocks finally gave her the transformation that she had been seeking her whole entire life. I'm Carly Schroeder, and I specialize in helping women shed body fat and clear the emotional and energetic blocks that keep your body stuck in the survival mode with healing the body and with functional nutrition. Marianne came to me at 62 years young, convinced that she was too old or too damaged, and her story proves that when you address the energetic and emotional blocks instead of just the symptoms and jumping on the diet train, then a transformation is completely possible for you at any age after any amount of previous failed attempts. Before I share Marianne's complete story, if you're somebody who has also struggled with emotional eating and food obsession like she did, I want you to go ahead and take my free emotional eating quiz that helps you identify the specific emotional patterns that's driving your food compulsions. The link is right below, and it's for women who are ready to understand the deeper emotional patterns behind their treating themselves phase, behind their 7 p.m. eating. Now, let me tell you about Marianne's transformation, because it's quite literally so moving to just witness somebody moving through this level of understanding for themselves. Marianne's relationship with food was completely controlled by unhealthy emotional blocks. She learned at a very young age that her place of comfort was in food. She learned that food was the way that she connected. It was her friend. It was her comfort. It was her celebration. It was her entertainment. Food wasn't just nutrition to her, it was how she coped with all her unprocessed emotions from her childhood. And at the age of 62, she was carrying 35 extra pounds of protective weight, and her body refused to release it. Decades of shaming herself about her food compulsions and her deep beliefs about not being worthy of being thin, and her unprocessed emotions that her body was actually holding on to, was creating these energetic blocks in her body. She told me, "I know that there's something deeper going on with my eating, but I didn't know how to fix it. I feel like I'm addicted to food, and I've tried everything and nothing stuck." She didn't understand why she couldn't just stop eating food. Marianne's breakthrough moment came when she realized that her food compulsions weren't about a willpower. They were about these unhealed emotional blocks. They were about how all her food acted in different roles for her to bring her safety and comfort in times where she didn't feel that she had that. She said, "I started to see that every time I ate, it was based on an emotional response. It was filling a hole or a void. I was using the food to medicate the feelings, and I didn't know how to process it." She saw that these blocks were keeping her stuck in so many ways. She started to believe that she didn't deserve to take up space or have any needs or voice her needs. She was using food for emotional comfort because healthy comfort wasn't modeled in her own family and her own upbringing. The patterns of turning to food happened when she felt unseen or unheard or unworthy or overwhelmed. So when Marianne found me, she said, "I'm tired of treating the symptoms. I need to heal whatever is driving this compulsive relationship to food. I want to understand why I do this to myself." Instead of giving Marianne another eating plan, we focused on identifying and clearing out the specific emotional and energetic blocks from the past that was keeping her looping in that behavior. We identified how food had become this comfort, this friend, this solace, the celebration and entertainment, and we replaced food with something else, with a real friend, with other comforts, a bubble bath, a journal, dancing, singing, paddleboarding. We found new ways of celebrating where it wasn't all just around food. We found new ways of her communicating with her husband where she could share how she actually felt and didn't need to silence her voice and just go and eat again. We had to clear off the identity beliefs that she was meant to be fat because her whole life she struggled with her problem of always carrying extra fat on her body or extra flesh, as she said it. We replaced the destructive coping mechanisms and patterns with healthy ways to process those feelings. We started to teach herself the techniques when she was feeling stressed out or overwhelmed, how she could actually regulate her nervous system without, again, medicating with food later on in the day. The healing process works by forgiving yourself and releasing decades of shame and blame from eating that way, from actually treating herself with love and kindness instead of punishment and criticism. Learning to see food as medicine for her body instead of medicine for her emotions was key for her to break free from emotional eating and all the cravings that she was experiencing throughout the day. We found that root cause to food compulsion wasn't just about her willpower, it was actually because of this underlying fears and underlying thoughts and self-limiting beliefs. Once we cleared these things away, we started to create a new image for herself, one in worthiness, one in love, one with the tools where she knew how to heal herself. The compulsions disappeared naturally because the emotional needs that were driving them were finally being met. Now, 5 months later, Marianne has experienced a complete transformation. Her physical results was that she lost 35 pounds naturally in just 5 months. From 175 pounds, thinking that she could never lose the weight, down to 140 pounds, going down from size 16 to size 10. She had to replace her entire wardrobe. She experienced more energy, more happiness, better sleep, overall better vitality. She had complete food freedom, where there was no more compulsive eating or thinking about food or waiting for people to leave the house so she could eat whatever she wanted. Food simply became nourishment instead of the friend, instead of the comfort, instead of the entertainment, instead of her identity. This deep sense of worthiness and self-compassion she discovered in this process. Food is now just food. She didn't think that she would ever see the day where she didn't have cravings and that she would stop eating when she was full. For the first time in my life, she said, food isn't controlling me. I feel free. She also shared, once I dealt with the emotional blocks, like Carly said, the weight will fall off, and it did. She says, I am completely committed to this continual growth process. I know that the weight loss journey wasn't just a final destination. It is actually a journey that I am committed to for the rest of my life. Now, on this journey, I didn't tell her that she had to resist anything. We didn't have to demonize any food. She didn't have to count her calories, or she didn't have to get obsessive with her workouts or her meal plans. We actually just started to help her understand what was creating inflammation in her body, repair the systems that were out of whack, rebuild new habits and patterns that she could fall into or lean upon when she was experiencing different emotions. And rewiring her mindset was the path to her actually healing this lifelong history of relying on food as an emotional comfort. If you are ready for the same type of deep energy healing and actually looking at why you keep looping back into the same patterns and finally be free from the excessive weight, and you want to experience your life much more free and light, then I'd love to have you click down below for this emotional eating quiz and follow along with this video where you're going to learn more about how your blocks aren't permanent, and it's never too late to heal the emotional patterns that have been running your relationship with food. See you in the next video.